right. It says oral evidence suggests that in Bukuria, as in other parts of Nyanza, iron was a relatively scarce commodity. Its scarcity was aggravated by the fact that the iron smelting was practiced only by certain families who transmitted the necessary technical and magical skills. It is remarkable that in Bukuria, for example, the ore was extracted and smelted not by the local people, but by the Maasai craftsmen. See that, man? That's Levi right there. It says the scarcity of iron was naturally a major stimulant to trade. Okay, so you know how they teach us economics. Supply and demand. The supply is low and the demand is high. That creates whatever is in low supply to be of more value. Okay. This is what was going on in the midst of the Abakuria and the Maasai, Simeon and Levi, man. A scarcity of iron. Well, it was a scarcity in the skill that was necessary to produce these instruments of cultivation and these instruments of cruelty. It was a scarcity because only a few elite among the Maasai were the craftsmen to be able to provide this iron smelting, blacksmithing. So you see, they had a blacksmithing technology among them. It says it was needed for hoe blades for cultivation, as knife blades and axe heads for building and other crafts, and as spear blades and arrowheads for hunting and fighting. Instruments of cruelty, man. Spear blades and arrowheads for hunting and fighting. Let me go down. I'm trying to find some of the instruments they use in the same article. Yeah, here we go. This is same article, agricultural history. Curia agricultural implements, right? This is the Ekebai, Ehandi, and Kuru. These are all instruments they use in their agriculture that contributed iron in them, Again, Ekebai, Iritakama, Esoro, right? Those were the these are the baskets, but I think this also is iron tool and Mohoro. So this is what this is the ironworking technology that they had to provide themselves with these agricultural tools, man. Okay. It says it was needed for hoe blades for cultivation and knife blades and axe heads for building and other crafts, and as spear blades and arrowheads for hunting and fighting. It says the trade in iron fostered the direct contacts between the Abakuria and Maasai, you see? So this is why Simeon and Levi are brother, and this is showing you that the togetherness, the being joined together towards one another, and the things that they need and provide for one another. So the Abakuria therefore made trips to Maasai land to procure ore, and men from the two communities cemented ties through marriages. Though casual and spasmodic, this trade encouraged courier interest in the donkey and a domesticated animal they acquired from the Maasai and first raised in Buiregi. Right, so they got a tremendous interest in livestock. Okay, a big interest in livestock. All right, so now it's page 31, agricultural history of the Abakuria. Says Corey suggested that the Bakuria were a splinter group of the Maasai. Okay, right? Why is that? Because they brothers. Right? Because the Abakuria were always pretty much part of the Maasai. Because what? They brothers, Simeon and Levi. Okay. Says he stressed that they still had the Maasai spirit, which manifested itself in the love for cattle and great zeal in acquiring them. See how they got this love for livestock, man? Now I just read they had an interest in on donkey. All right. Page 60. Though casual and spasmodic, this trade encouraged courier interest in the donkey, a domesticated animal they acquired from the Maasai and first raised in Buiregi. Okay, so they have a huge interest in livestock. Very big interest. Now it says they have a great zeal in acquiring them. Where did they get that zeal from, man? Right? So he stressed that they still had the Maasai spirit. The Maasai spirit. So you see the two brothers, they got like this Gemini spirit, twin spirit thing going on. Matter of fact, they have a custom among the Abakuria. If the twins are born, there's twins born among them, they kill both twins, man. Why? Because there's, in my opinion, I think it's wise because they see the conflict between those two tribes. They know the conflict between them. Right? And not to mention Jacob and Esau. Right? Jacob and Esau was brothers. They was twins in the womb. And look how Jacob and Esau fight to this day. We fight one another, man. Jacob and Esau. Blacks and whites fighting. So it's something about twins and brothers that caused them to fight, man. There's this Simeon and Levi are brethren because they basically, they bump heads. You know how they say in the world, you bump heads, you too much alike. When you too much alike, you clash. Right? You clash and you duke it out, man. So these two brothers' similarities, they so similar to the point where one can't really be in the midst of one another or in the vicinity without getting into some sort of conflict or feud, man. So, this thing play out between the two brothers. The Abakuria and the Maasai. It says he stressed that they still had the Maasai spirit. Of course, they would. Right? They would have the Maasai spirit. Because they brothers. They the same people, really. It says, which manifested itself in the love for cattle and great zeal in acquiring them. So they both zealous over cattle. Domesticated livestock. Where did they get this from, man? Let's get it, man. Because what Simeon and Levi did, what they did is the exact same behavior, right, that they do to this day. Same thing, man. They are cattle rustlers, man. They got this banditry spirit. Okay? They got like this cowboy wild wild west spirit going on between Simeon and Levi, man. You know what I mean? Cattle rustlers, man. Bandits. Bandits on the run, man. You know what I mean? All praises to the Most High, man. For real, man. So this is where they get this great zeal for cattle and livestock, man. This Genesis 34. And it's going into what happened with Dinah, man, when she got defiled by Shechem, that Hamite. Okay? Genesis 34, verse 25, it says, and it came to pass on the third day, right, when they were sore, because what happened? They were told, matter of fact, I probably got enough time to read that too. Man, I'm going to start at verse 1. It said, and Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her and defiled her. Same thing Reuben did to Bilhah, man. Except he did it while she wasn't asleep. Wicked. Right? It says, and his soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel and spake kindly unto the damsel. Why you ain't do that before you raped her? You know what I'm talking about? It said, and Shechem spake unto his father Hamor, saying, get me this damsel to wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter. Now his sons were with, see this? Look, they even before they even hear about Dinah, they already in the field with cattle. So you see the zeal and the love for cattle, livestock was there even before they did what they did when they raided the damn village of Shechem and Hamor. Right? It says now his sons were with his cattle in the field. And Jacob held his peace until they were come. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out unto Jacob to commune with him. Verse 7, and the sons of Jacob came out of the field when they heard it. See this? When they heard it, man. Simeon and Levi heard this. Affliction heard, man. Right? It says, when they heard it, and the men were grieved, and they were very wroth. Right? Very wroth. Because he had wrought folly in Israel in line with Jacob's daughter. You see, it says wrought folly, man. So that can't be justified, what they did. Wrought folly in Israel. In line with Jacob's daughter, which thing, you see this? Which thing ought not to be done. Verse 8. And Hamor communed with them, saying, the soul of my son Shechem longeth for your daughter. I pray you give her to me. Give her him to wife. Okay. And make ye marriages with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you. And ye shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade ye therein, and get you possessions therein. And Shechem said unto her father and unto her brethren, let me find grace in your eyes, and what ye shall say unto me I will give. Ask me never so much dowry and gift. See this? So he did the chagulaga like Reuben, man. Like Reuben doing in Tanzania doing a chagalaga, forcing, and this was the teenage boys there doing this, not no grown men. Teenage boys in Tanzania doing a chagalaga, trying to get a girl to marry them, and sometimes in some instances it leads to sexual violence, man. Right? So after the fact, he want to pay the dowry. All right, and this is what's going on too in Tanzania among the Sukuma tribe, which is Reuben, man. All right, and they doing that to this day. Now they want to pay the dowry. They pay the dowry after the fact. Okay. It said, and the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor, his father, deceitfully. And I'm gonna deal with that later too, man. I'm gonna elaborate on that more. All right. So, and the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor with his father deceitfully and said, because he had defiled Dinah their sister. Okay. Verse 14, it says, and they said unto them, we cannot do this thing to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, for that were a reproach unto us. All right. Verse 15, but in this will we consent unto you, if ye will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised. Right. Now let me go down to verse 25. Yeah, skip to 25. Now it says, and it came to pass on the third day when they were sore, all right, after they got circumcised, that the two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brethren, took each man his sword. You see this? His sword, man. Instruments of cruelty. And this is why to this day, what they did right here with the swords, it goes into the last day prophecy that is a part of Simeon and Levi, man. It says, and came upon the city boldly and slew all the males. All of them, man. You can imagine there was a lot of males. It had to be a lot of males, man. It had to be more than, listen. I think, in my opinion, they had spiritual power. If you think about it, two men with swords killing all the men of the village, how would they be able to do that without no power, man? Now I'm still dealing with the zeal for acquiring cattle, because that zeal was in Simeon and Levi when they did what they did in avenging Dinah, man. Same zeal, man. You know that the zeal was on them because it was just two of them and they slew a whole village of men, man. And they raided the whole village, man. Come on, man. Raided it. Cattle rustlers. Bandits, man. Come on, man. Simeon and Levi, man. Okay? They had spiritual power, man. You got two brothers killing all the men of the village. What that sound like to you, man? You gonna need some help if it's just two of y'all. Most High put that zeal on them, man. I'm gonna show you that too. I'm still dealing with this zeal. Verse 26, and they slew Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house, and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and spoiled the city, because they had defiled their sister. Here we go, 28. They took their sheep and their oxen and their asses. See? Their asses, man. Why do they have an interest for asses, for donkeys, man? Because they went and raided the village of the men that defiled their sister. and took their asses, took the sheep and the oxen. That's why they had an interest for it. Because what they did right here in this situation, defending their sister, is the characteristics and the attributes of Simeon and Levi, and that is played out in these last days and fulfilling the prophecy. You know what I mean? Again, Corey suggests that the Abakuria were a splinter group of the Maasai. He stressed that they still had the Maasai spirit, which manifested itself in the love for cattle and great zeal in acquiring them. Okay? Great zeal in acquiring them. Right? Again. Though casual and spasmodic, this trade encouraged Kuria interest in the donkey, a domesticated animal they acquired from the Maasai and first raised in Wiregi. Okay? Interest in the donkey. Why? Because that's their nature. Going back to what they did in defending their sister Dinah, man. And they already was out there with the cattle. They was out there with their father's cattle in the field already before they heard the news about their sister being defiled, man. Always was already with cattle. Right? Hold on real quick. Alright, so let me go down here to Simeon, man. Show you one of the other tribes of Simeon. All right. Down here in Uganda, another tribe is the Bagasu. Now, why this is a nickname that was given to them by the Maasai, man. Let me show you that real quick. Right, because this is going into the zeal for acquiring cattle, man. This is the Bagasu. It says, or Bamasaba, got their name from a mispronunciation of a Maasai nickname given to their founding ancestor's son, Mwambu. Okay, the Maasai called Mwambu Nkisu, meaning a bull, for his bravery in a cattle raid. When his father Masaba pronounced it, it became Mugisu, which means bull, or is heavily associated with bravery and courage. So this is a nickname given to the Abakuria. Okay, Bagasu. Well, not the Abakuria. Bagasu was another tribe among Simeon and Uganda. But they got this name because they have a great zeal for acquiring cattle. Like I just read, man. Right? This agricultural history again. Page 60. Right? It says, though casual and spasmodic, this trade encouraged Kuria interest in the donkey, a domesticated animal they acquired from the Maasai and first raised in Wiregi. Alright? And again, page 31, Corey suggests that the Abakuria were a splendid group of the Maasai. He stressed that they still had the Maasai spirit, which manifested itself in the love for cattle and great zeal in acquiring them. Right? So their zeal goes into the cattle raiding that they do, man. It goes into acquiring the cattle, which is where did they get that from, man? From what they did by avenging Dinah, man, when she got defiled, and raiding the village of Shechem and Hamor. Right? It says verse Genesis 34 verse 28, they took their sheep and their oxen and their asses. All of that. Sheep. All right. Oxen. Asses. And that which was in the city. Anything that wasn't nailed down, man. Pulled a jack move, man. You know what I mean? And then it was right. It was rightly so, man. Pulled a jack move on them. Okay? And waited till they were sore. See, they had their crafty counsel, Simeon and Levi, right? And you know, that was witty of them, man. They just on the spot said, okay, well, y'all got to be circumcised first if you want our sister. You know what I mean? And, you know, I'm going to deal with that more later. I'm going to elaborate on that, man. Okay. It says, and that which was in the city and that which was in the field took everything. It says, and all their wealth and all their little ones and their wives took they captive and spoiled even all that was in the house. Right? Took everything, man. Just them two. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, and this is how you know it was just them. You have trouble with me, because he ain't say this to no other brother. You have trouble with me to make me to stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites, and I being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. Verse 31, and they said, should he deal with our sister as with an harlot? Right? Now, this is a zeal that they have. This is why they had a zeal nowadays to this day in acquiring cattle. Right? Let's get that in Jude, man. Not Jude, Judith. Jude chapter 9, man. Hold on, I'll read it before me. Judah chapter 9, man. Start at verse 2. O Adonai, the power of my father Simeon, to whom thou gavest a sword to take vengeance of the strangers, who loosened the girdle of a maid to defile her, and discovered the thigh to her shame, and polluted her virginity to her reproach. But thou saidest, it shall not be so, and yet they did so. You see this, man? So how you going to condone rape, man? How you going to condone rape? Verse 3. Wherefore thou gavest their rulers to be slain. Right? To see, this is the Most High. That was the Most High's doing, man. Working through Simeon and Levi, man. Right? It says, wherefore thou gavest their rulers to be slain, so that they died there, bed in blood, being deceived. Why? Because they answered Shechem and Hamor deceitfully, and smotest the servants with their lords. See, they kill all of them, man. You imagine how many men got killed. Right? Because if they rapists, then the men in the village, they most likely rapists. As the judge of the people is saw the officers, and what manner the ruler of the city is, so are all they that dwell therein, man. If Hamor and Shechem and Hamor was rapists, then all of them was rapists, man. Smote the servants and their lords, and the lords upon their thrones. Verse 4. And has given their wives for a prey, and their daughters to be captives, and all their spoils to be divided among thy dear children. Right? Which were moved with thy zeal. You see this, man? See, the Simeon and Levi were moved with the Most High zeal, man. So you got this zeal that Simeon and Levi has to this day. in acquiring their cattle. That same zeal that they had in doing what they did, destroying the village of Shechem and Hamor, right? Still in them, still in Simeon and Levi, the Abakuria and the Masai and the Bagasu and all them other tribes that's on that chart. You know what I mean? Okay? All these tribes, man. Kissy, man. You know what I mean? Still with that same zeal in acquiring cattle. It says, which were moved with thy zeal and abhorred the pollution of their blood and called upon thee for aid. You see, they called upon the Most High, man. They called upon the Most High and getting vengeance. Right? It says, and abhorred the pollution of their blood and called upon thee for aid. O Adonai, O my power, hear me also a widow. Okay? Most High put the zeal on Simeon and Levi to bring destruction and death to the villages, man. To Shechem and Hamor, man. Okay? The same zeal they got, man. You see it. You get another precept, man. I think verse. Yeah, there you go. Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach, chapter 39, verse 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. You see that, man? What Simeon and Levi did, appease the wrath of the Most High, man. Because Most High ain't pleased with rape. Okay? Not pleased with that, man. That's why he put that zeal on them. Poured out the wrath of the Most High. So you can't say rape is condoned, man. Can't really say that. If the Most High put the zeal on them to do that. Okay? Can't say it's condoned. Yeah, man. So they took all the sheep, right? Took all the sheep. Took all the sheep, their oxen and their asses, right? Took all of that. Raided the village, man. Same thing that they do now. Same thing, man.